In this video, I'm going to show you how to use PowerShell to generate non-player characters. I'm going to answer two questions first. What is PowerShell? PowerShell is a little scripting tool that is included with all versions of Windows 7 and Windows 8. At least that's what as far as I could determine from checking up on various sources. So if you're running Windows 7 or Windows 8, you have PowerShell and it's installed already. You just have to find it. The second question is why PowerShell? One, it's a tool that normally is used around server installations. It helps automate a bunch of scripts and things like that. It's normally a fairly techy tool, but I'm going to introduce just a handful of commands and show you how to use PowerShell to create a non-player character generator. So let's get into PowerShell. First thing we got to do is find PowerShell. So this is my Windows screen. So let's go find PowerShell. So if you're running Windows 8, hit the Start menu and then hit the down arrow and then scroll all the way to the right. And on my system, it is the very last thing on the screen down here. So that opens up PowerShell. The first challenge with PowerShell is that it's sort of locked down and we have to unrestrict it. So if we go back here, and we go all the way to the right, there's Windows PowerShell. We need to right click and see this run as administrator with the little symbol there. We have to run this as administrator the first time, because we're going to unrestrict it. And it's going to pop up and give us some sort of warning. And then we've opened up the shell. Now, at this point in time, we have to issue one command, and this is the only time you have to do this, is you set execution, and you can press tab and it will set execution policy to unrestricted. And I did tab and it will fill it out. And it's going to give you all kind of warnings, and we're going to say yes because we really want to run this all the time. Now we can just, so we're going to say yes, and we're done. So then we can type exit and come out of there, and that's how we unrestrict PowerShell. That's the first thing we have to do. Okay. Now I have PowerShell unrestricted, and the way I can show you that is I can get the execution policy, and that just will tell me that it's unrestricted. So now I've unrestricted things, and that's there. Now I can run PowerShell, and it will run scripts. Now what is this? What did I do? What did we just do? We lowered the security rating on PowerShell, which is normally set as restricted, which means the scripts have to be, those scripts can be interactive, that they have to be signed, and a whole bunch of other restrictions. Well, we're going to be using PowerShell to do some various things. This is, and generally, almost everywhere to do anything with PowerShell, you have to set the execution policy to unrestricted, at least what I found, and it's a very minimal risk. It is a risk. We have lowered our execution policy, so we're there. So we've done something with PowerShell. So the first thing we can, now that we've played with just a little teeny bit of PowerShell, let's do something a bit more interesting about generating a random character. So PowerShell is a command line tool, but we're going to be moving on to some other things. If you've ever used a command line, we want it to cd to where some directory that we've made, and mine is Dungeons and Dragons / PowerShell. This is where I've been working. And if you're used to the command line, you can type a dir and it will show you the contents. And this is what I will be putting up with this video. So if we take a look at one of the, well, first off, let's generate a very simple random number. PowerShell has a command called getRandom. Now, PowerShell is not case sensitive, so you can type it in upper or lower, any combination, and it will return a random number. Now, that's not a very useful random number, but because it's going to return it generally some fairly large number. But we can do this from the command line. The up arrow will return the command, and the down, and so you can have a history with the commands. So if I get random and I say I want my minimum is 1 and my maximum is 21. Now why is it 21? It actually never generates the maximum number. So this will generate a random number but somewhere between 1 and 20. So it's 17. I can up arrow. And I can, now I've got a D20 roller. Yay, that makes life interesting. Okay. But let's do something a little bit more interesting. As you've seen up here, we've got various things, text files that I've got listed here. So let's take a look at the honesty text file. Now, I'm going to, normally you'd use, well, if I pull up a directory, if I just bring up a directory of this, of what I've got here. So let me just find it. Then we'll bring it over here. So this is my directory. Oh, didn't want to do that. There we go. Let's make it a little bit smaller so it'll fit on the screen that we've got here. So let's just look at a interesting little text file. So if I say, let's take a look at honesty was the one I was going to say. And I want to open it. So this opens it up in Notepad. So now I've got a list of levels of honesty, and I think this actually comes from the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide. So scrupulous, very honorable, truthful, average, liar, and deceitful. Notice that I put average in there 3 times because that means it will return, I've weighted it 3. So this would be, if I select out of here, I've got a 3 times higher odds that it will come out with average. So let's get back over to the PowerShell. And one of the things we can do, very simple command, is get content. So if we type get content and we give it a name, honesty, and like I said, I can type it. Now, PowerShell uses a, shall we say, a slightly Baroque syntax. So this is going to say in the current directory with a / honesty. So it dumps it into, that gives us the list of what's actually in the file. That's useful sometimes. But we talked about getRandom. getRandom has where we can use it to generate random numbers, but we can also have it select a random value from a file. Now then, so what we're going to do is we're going to do get content. Now then, this is where we type in an unusual character. It's called a concat bar. This is on your keyboard. It's probably above the return key, and you have to type a shift to get to it. So you do shift / we'll normally get the concat bar, and we're going to pipe, that's what's called a pipe or a concat bar or whatever, into getRandom. So what this does is this will randomly select a line of text out of our content. So we've done out of honesty.txt. So it's totally random. It'll go through and randomly select a value out of there. As you can see, I'm just using up arrow to do this. So I can do a whole bunch of fun things with this. The other one is that the other command I've got to talk about is write host. Write host, and we type hello world. Not able to type tonight. So that will write a line of text. But we also need one more little parameter on this. No new line. And the reason we want that is so that, notice it printed hello world, and then we get back to the command from PowerShell. So with this in mind, we can create a very simple little script. So if we come back to Notepad and we say, let's do a new, and what we're going to do, I'm going to copy and paste some things from here. It's from another file so that you can, so I speed things up. Copy. So let's paste this here, and we paste it. And so it says we're going to write host honesty :space, no new line. Semicolon says we're going to do another command on this same text line, so that's fine. Hopefully you'll understand that. And we're going to do a get content honesty.text piped into get random. And now then, if we do file save, and we're going to do this as honesty.ps1. So that's going to save it as a PowerShell script, our first PowerShell script. So now if I do a directory in here, notice I see I have honesty.txt and honesty.ps1. So I can now do, yes, rather baroque syntax, honesty, and hit the tab key and it will fill it in. So honesty ps1. All right, so now we can generate this. It's a shorter syntax and we can do this. The interesting thing is I can go in and edit the honesty text file to my heart's content. And that's what these other text files are. So much of this I think comes from the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide. Now I'm going to do one other thing. We need to be able, now notice I've got male and female. They're the bigger files in here. And if I come in here and I do file open, and I pulled this from some list, I think it's from the census document, of all the different names of women. And if there's no ranking of them, they're all equal chance, but it goes on and on for quite a few lines, as you can see. So in essence, I want to be able to select the name of the non-player character based upon their gender. So what happens is I've got I can do get content of gender.text, and it says male and female. So they're equal. Okay, you're probably not seeing the bottom line there. Sorry about that. Oops, didn't want to do that. There we go. Let's scroll that up. Oh, and it won't let me do that. No. Because Windows keeps wanting to make this full screen when I do move it up higher, and it's there. And it keeps dropping down. All right. So I apologize for that. That's a sort of an interesting limitation of PowerShell. One of the things we can do is we can change the properties, and I'm using a 14-point font, and I can drop it to 12-point, which makes the text size a little bit smaller, and I can put the PowerShell, and then you can see everything I'm typing. I tend to like it a little bit larger when I'm running, but the way I'm capturing this, so that should be okay. So we can see that. Now, PowerShell has the concept of variables, so we can do something like I can do $gender is equal to get content of gender pipe through get random. And what happens is it just immediately returns because it assigned a value to gender. So that says female. So gender is always going to be female until I rerun this statement here. So that assigned a variable to gender, and it assigned female. I got a 50-50 chance of assigning it there, and so so it shows us male and female. So what I'm going to do, so one last interesting little command, which is I'm going to do $name file is equal to, and this is, we'll just say this is a magic string, because this gets a little bit more complicated to explain. But what I'm doing is I'm going to replace this parameter, curly 0 curly dot text, with gender. So what happens is that's going to say, we know that the value of gender is male, so it's going to assign into name file this male.text. So we have, so now if I type name file, it will see that it's male.text. So now we have a variable assigned with the name of the text file we want to reference. We can do something like this. So let's just paste the, nope, didn't do that. Let me copy this line. We're going to paste this here. So it's, and right host name, colon, with no new line. Now we're going to get the content of name file, which we've assigned to mail.text, and pipe it through get random. So now then, that will, notice that there's a tiny pause there where it actually read that file and then run it. So if we keep doing this, so this will generate the name, and so we can do some interesting things this way. So now we have all the pieces. So let's take a look at PowerShell script, and we're going to come back over here with Notepad. So if we open up, and we can just take a quick, this is the one for the nature, but we can now open in Notepad our, we want to show all the files. We can open up the PowerShell script. This one's this will show, it's a little bit longer, but it will show you all the interesting things we've got. So the first thing is as we've done before, we create a variable and we get the content of gender and we run it through random. So this will randomly select the gender. Then we do the name file. We format it to add a basically .text onto the end. So we have name file will be whatever male or female .text. So now we're going to write out the name. So the name is name colon space with no new line. Then we get the content of the name file, whatever it's male or female, and do a random. So I hope you can see that if we add another, if you want another gender, you just find another gender, that's fine. And then you create a list of names that are appropriate for that gender, then you can add another gender to your heart's content. Same thing is here with strength. We're going to do the str, no new line. Now this one is the same thing. So we're going to, where we get a random number where the minimum is 1 and the maximum is 7, and we're going to add the same this. So this rolls 3d6. Okay. So there's where we do strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. Then we run our hit points. We're going to say our maximum hit points, no new line, and we're going to say it's 1 to, the maximum is 9, so it's 1 to 8. Now this is where we print out the gender. Now then we can do the rest of the fun stuff. This is going to go through age, and I'll pull out. You can look at these text files. They're just text files. You can edit them with in Notepad, age, appearance, tendency, sanity. Like I said, that most of this came out of first edition DMG, but it's just very simple. So what happens is we can now, if we get back to our PowerShell script, we can actually just do ./npc1 .pn. Let's make sure I got it. I'm in the right directory, and we see npc.ps1 is right there. So we can do ./npc.ps1, and it generates. Look at this. We've got our entire character. Here's the name. Here's the strength. Here's all our stats. Here it's got 1 hit point. It's female, as we see from there. It's ancient, floppish, so things like that. So this will generate you can generate as many NPCs as you want very quickly, because it will just run through and generate them. So there's one with 8 hit points. Rika, who's a female, who's strength of 13, dex of 6, sort of clumsy. But this gives you an idea of how to create non-player characters quickly with PowerShell. And we can, if we come into here and we just highlight this, and we hit return, that will copy it to our buffer. So now if we go back to Notepad and we do File, New, and we edit, paste, there, we copied our non-player character from PowerShell. So we can generate as many non-player characters as you like, and you can change the tables. They're easy to change. They're just text files. You have to understand how to use text files, but it will let you generate non-player characters quickly and easily. So this one is a little bit more technical, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Had some challenges getting this one put together, but I hope you understand and take advantage of PowerShell, because it's on all your Windows 7 and Windows 8 machines. If you like my video, press the thumbs up button. I'd appreciate that. Or if this interests you, you can always subscribe to my channel. There's a button right above. I look forward to hearing some comments. Tell me what you think about this, and I'll try and reply, and we can see if I'll do some more of these. Thank you.